Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The Chicago White Sox winning the race for star Cubs reliever Craig Kimbrel, the 8-time All-Star, having as good a season as any, and he's off to pitch for the White Sox. An incredible .49 ERA over 36 2/3 innings. He's playing out the year on a $16 million salary and is under team control next season via a club option at a matching price. In return, the Cubs will receive second baseman Nick Madrigal and pitcher Cody Hoyer in the other end of that deal. Of course, the second baseman follows up the fact that Cesar Hernandez was traded for yesterday. And for more on this, let's now welcome in MLB executive and our MLB insider, Jim Bowden, who was the one who confirmed this report. Jim, your reaction to the trade in terms of what the White Sox are getting and what the Cubs are getting in return here?
Well, Jeremy, look, the White Sox could have stood pat at the deadline, and if they had done that, they were going to win the division anyway. But this deal, getting Craig Kimbrel, gives them a legitimate shot now of getting to the World Series and maybe winning the World Series. Craig Kimbrel, as you mentioned, a 0.4 ERA this year. The future Hall of Famer is completely back to his dominant self, and he joins a bullpen that already has one of the best closers in the game in Liam Hendriks, and another young right-hander in Michael Kopech that throw 101. So now they've got three guys that can just dominate, which means that they lead after 7 innings. They're going to win most of their games, if not all of their games. And the last time I remember a bullpen this good was the 1990 Reds, when we won the World Championship thanks to Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, and Randy Myers. That's how good this bullpen is. You can see right there on the graphic, 23 out of 25 save opportunities with a 0.7 whip, and how about 15 strikeouts per 9. That's how good he is. He's a difference maker, especially in October. So now the White Sox have all the elements, right? They've got the 4 starters that can run the table in October, and they've got the back end of the bullpen that's going to be the best in the sport when they get there. They're in great shape. Now, it came at a cost. I thought the Cubs did really well to get Nick Madrigal. Now, certainly Madrigal out for the year with an injury. He'll be back next year. He's controllable for 5 more years after this. And this is a kid that's going to hit for high average. He's a very good defensive player, and he'll be the long-term solution for the Chicago Cubs at second base. They also get a good arm in Cody Hoyer. I love the stuff that comes out of his arm. Probably a 7th inning, 8th inning kind of setup reliever when fully developed here. But this is a deal that works for both sides. A dramatic deal, though, for the Chicago White Sox here. This is a deal that's going to move the needle in their chances of winning a world championship.
Yeah, certainly the odds for the world championship are going to change over the course of the next few hours, possibly, with the trade deadline here. And when you looked at coming into this day, Jim, I mean, the White Sox were kind of mentioned in passing. It was expected Kimbrel might be someone that the Dodgers would look at. The Braves were mentioned. Were you surprised that the White Sox made this deal?
Well, we had heard earlier today there was some rumblings that the White Sox were in on Kimbrel, but there were 10 teams, from what I understand, that were in the mix here, including the Red Sox and the other teams that you mentioned. And at the end of the day, the one thing the White Sox could offer is an everyday position player that's major league ready and a bullpen arm. So the Cubs got the best offer. They didn't want to go with another teenage high-end prospect like they did in the Anthony Rizzo trade with the Yankees. They really felt like they wanted to get major league ready players back. And the White Sox were the one team in the trade negotiations that were willing to do that. And the key, of course, was the option year that the White Sox are going to have in Kimbrel. That was the key for them parting with Madrigal in this transaction.
As you mentioned, I mean, they've got a hefty lead in their division. They're 8 games up. So, I mean, this is a move that's obviously made for late in the season. But in terms of what he brings to this team and what he adds to this bullpen, in your eyes, like, is this a move that solidifies this bullpen as the best in baseball? And for their World Series odds, I mean, in terms of being a contender, where does this move them to in your eyes?
Well, it takes them from having to play a 9-inning game to a 7-inning game. When you got Hendriks and Kimbrel as your back 2 end, and we don't know who's going to close. Maybe they're going to share the job. Maybe Hendriks stays in the role. Maybe Kimbrel gets it. Hendriks sets up. Doesn't really matter, right? It's all about winning here. But if they have a lead after 7, they're going to win most or all of the games when you turn the ball over to these guys. So that's a huge difference maker here for the Chicago White Sox. And, you look at the teams they're going to be facing in the postseason, and whether that be Houston or Boston or Tampa, the one thing we're going to know, they're going to have the best back end of the bullpen of any team that makes the playoffs.
In terms of the trades that we've seen so far up to this point, Jim, how would you grade this particular deal?
I mean, look, you got to give the White Sox an A, and I think you got to give a B plus to the Chicago Cubs in the deal. I mean, anytime you can get a player of this magnitude when you're 8 games up in the division, it's game changing, right? I mean, I think the Dodgers get the A plus plus, right? Because you get Scherzer and Turner as long as that deal actually finalizes, which they're close to it, but they haven't quite dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's yet. But after that, I think when you see what teams like the White Sox, the Blue Jays have done, they've significantly changed their chances of playing October baseball, no doubt about it. But the thing I like about it from this particular situation of the White Sox is how you set up for the short series. Because in the short series, those last 2 innings are extremely important when you're trying to win a World Series, and they're going to have the advantage whoever they play.
As you mentioned, Nick Madrigal is out for the year. They got Cesar Hernandez yesterday in a deal, did the Cubs. So now when you look at the Cubs, what does this mean moving forward for them?
They don't have a weakness, right? You just got Eloy Jimenez back, and after he gets about 50, 60 at-bats, he's going to start hitting his average of 100 home runs, RBIs. At some point, they're going to get Luis Robert back to play center field. And you look at the White Sox as a complete team. I mean, the White Sox have the starting pitching. They've got the bullpen. They're a good defensive team. And they're going to be able to score runs, especially when they're 100% healthy with Robert and Jimenez in the lineup.
Hernandez going to the White Sox there. Madrigal out for the year for the Cubs as part of this deal. Jim, I know you're loving this day, and you've been busy all afternoon. You're going to continue to be busy. We're going to check in with you later as these deals start to come in thick and fast. We've already had some great deals. Jim Bowden joining us to talk about the latest deal, the Chicago White Sox locking themselves up, one of the best relievers in baseball. Thanks very much, Jim.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.